At the
Is no exception to this rule. You may think it's great to be a 12-foot tall space Jesus, but even he's not immune to the grim darkness of the far future. Even though the Emperor is the main character, he is constantly dealing with bullshit that would make a normal person seek a therapist. Big E literally had to babysit an entire civilization to stop them from killing themselves. His baby mama called Child Protection Services and had his sons taken away, and he knew about humanity's eventual fall to chaos, but couldn't tell anyone because it'd make it worse. To top it all off, when he finally got his superhuman sons back, most of them were fucking useless. Some even ended up betraying him, and his favorite of the bunch literally put him in a coma. To get an idea of how rough his life was, we have to start from the beginning. Big E's birth was relatively normal, aside from the fact that his creation was planned by some crazy shamans high on crystal meth. You see, there were some powerful shamans who were aware of the existence of the warp and the evil gods that dwell within it. They figured they'd need someone to fight the chaos deities, so 1,000 of them committed suicide and pulled their souls together to create Space Jesus, aka the Emperor. And so, Big E was born. His parents were regular-ass humans that were part of the first tribes in modern-day Turkey. Growing up, he was pretty normal, until one day his father was murdered. At the funeral, the Emperor unlocks the Jedi Mind Force and finds out his uncle was the culprit. Using these same powers, he stops his uncle's heart with his mind. After that, he knows he's special and different. He realizes that these violent apes require a leader to lead them to the promised land. So, he nominates himself and starts gathering other immortal beings known as Perpetuals. Somewhere along the way, he meets his future baby mama, Erda, and his best friend for life, Malkador. The Emperor was pretty active in ancient history, fighting or leading in many wars. Eventually, he encounters the Void Dragon, which is a piece of a literal alien god. Nobody knows why the dragon was on Terra, but legend has it the Emperor fought it somewhere in modern-day Libya. He managed to defeat it, but could not kill it. At some point, he travels to Mars and imprisons the Void Dragon under the planet. Eventually, he just disappears off the face of the Earth. During his vacation, he takes one too many acid trips and foresees humanity's destruction and the existence of the warp and chaos gods. But he couldn't tell anyone. You see, humans are greedy and lustful bastards. Imagine if you told humanity that there are extra-dimensional beings that can bless you with incredible power and immortality if you join them. You can bet your ass there will be some idiots that sign up for it. This is the first reason it sucked to be Big E. He shouldered this entire burden because if he let this secret slip, most of humanity would turn against their brethren. He could only fight behind closed doors. Some might say he was an asshole for not letting them know, but his choice was the lesser of two evils. Anyway, Big E continues his life, taking different names throughout history. Once he was known as Alexander the Great, another time he was Marilyn Monroe, he was even some guy named Elon Musk once. Then these idiotic monkeys start thriving and reach a point of critical mass. This was known as the Age of Technology, where humans discovered warp travel, allowing them to colonize space. Humans also start evolving and developed psychic abilities. Just a bit before the discovery of warp travel, the Emperor left Earth on an economy-class ticket to the planet Molech. There, he discovered an entryway into the realm of chaos. Big E proceeded to have a board meeting with the four gods, and they struck up a deal. They would buff him to deity-like status and give him the knowledge to create his super sons, the Primarchs. In return, Big E would have to spread chaos to humanity like it was COVID. Obviously, the Emperor never held up his end of the bargain. Once he got what he wanted, he told the Chaos Gods to piss off. Meanwhile, on Terra, the stupid apes fuck up again. The evolved X-Men were indirectly inviting demonic incursions each time they used their psychic powers and corrupting entire planets. And then, the beloved AI that humans developed went full Skynet, making ChatGPT turn against humanity and vaporizing billions in what was known as the Cybernetic Revolt. This is the second reason it sucked to be the Emperor. He was now stronger than ever after visiting Molech, but he was still helpless and couldn't assist humanity. He was most likely still on his way back from his trip. And yeah, he could see the future, but not really in the way you think. It's more like he could see 100 different futures, with 100 different paths to reach it. How you reach it, and which future it is, would be impossible to determine. There's no way Big E could have predicted the Age of Strife. Regardless of all this, humanity still eventually did win, but at a huge cost. You see, what was left of civilization on Terra was just apocalyptic scraps of a fallen empire, and the surviving human colonies in deep space were weakened and isolated from Terra, so they were prime targets for Xenos or demons. This is where the Emperor could finally be Space Jesus. He revealed himself as the savior of humanity, and with his huge army of Thunder Warriors that he developed through his eugenics program, he waged war to unify the fragmented tribes of Terra. But this was just the beginning. He knew he needed to reconquer all the lost worlds to have a united front against future enemies. This project would be called the Great Crusade. And to accomplish this goal, his mentally unstable Thunder Warriors weren't going to cut it. So, the Emperor needed a contingency plan. After mixing DNA with his baby mama, Erda, they ended up creating 20 sons in his image. They were called the Primarchs, and would eventually grow up to be powerful generals that would lead his armies. But, as in all great cosmic dramas, co-parenting proved to be a nightmare. See, the Emperor decided Erda was no longer needed, so he divorced her from the family tree. Furious at his plans to turn their sons into war machines for galactic conquest, Erda took drastic action. She summoned a warp vortex to yeet the Primarchs across the galaxy in a last-ditch effort to save them, then disappeared without a trace. Well, fuck. There goes Plan A. This is the third reason it sucked to be the Emperor. The women he trusted most in the world betrayed him, and he literally lost 20 of his sons to the depths of deep, dark space. All his life, he wanted a family, and now all he had left was his ashy and wrinkly best friend. Luckily, there was a Plan B. He still had genetic material from his Primarchs, so Big E used that to create the warriors known as the Space Marines. The issue was the Emperor still had the Thunder Warriors. Now, you obviously can't have the old employees mixing with the new hires, so the Emperor did what any other great CEO would. He laid them off. But instead of collecting unemployment benefits, the Thunder Warriors were buried 6 foot underground. Anyway, with his new super soldiers, Big E hops on a ship and goes on a great crusade. His goal was to claim back every human world, from pretenders or aliens. It was essentially a space genocide, forcing every human colony to bend the knee and convert to the imperial truth or face annihilation. Along the way, he rediscovers his lost Primarchs. He always knew his sons were alive somewhere because he could hear them faintly through the warp. Of the 20 sons the Emperor handcrafted, 2 were straight up dead. As for the rest, oh, they were a work in progress. Kurz. He was a walking PSA for psychological counseling. He was a schizophrenic sadist who thought murdering entire populations counted as art therapy. Magnus? He was arrogant and wouldn't shut the fuck up about how he did nothing wrong. Fulgrim was so in love with himself.
If you're someone paying to multi-stream or you're about to pay to multi-stream, stop it. Stop it right now, because this is something you can do 100% free in OBS Studio. On this page, you're gonna wanna head over to the right-hand side where it says go to download. Click that and that'll take you to GitHub. From here, you're gonna see the most recent up-to-date free. Stop it right now, because this is something you can do 100% free in OBS Studio. On this page, you're gonna wanna head over to the right-hand side where it says go to download. Click that and that'll take you to GitHub. From here, you're gonna see the most recent up-to-date version of the RTMP plugin. You're gonna wanna scroll down just a little bit and you're gonna see a list of assets within this section. From here, you're gonna wanna download the correct asset pertaining to your device or your operating system. For my M1, M2 silicon-based chip Mac users, you guys are gonna wanna download the ARM64 package. And if you're on Intel, you're gonna wanna get the x86 package. In my case, I'm on a Windows computer, so I can go ahead and download the executable file right here and then install this with literally just a click of a button. Once that's complete, you can go ahead and restart your OBS Studio, and once you bring it back up, you should see the multiple output dock somewhere within OBS. I recommend putting it somewhere within one of the dock containers, and then you can adjust it with the docks that are around it. First things first, within your normal OBS settings, hop over to the Stream tab, and within here, you're gonna wanna make sure that your primary streaming platform is selected within this section. So whether or not you're using a custom or you're using any of the options within the drop down here, make sure that service is all set up and ready to go. Now within my multiple outputs plugin, I'm gonna go ahead and add a new target. We're gonna name this Kick Stream. And then within here, we're gonna wanna add in our URL from Kick. In my creator dashboard and stream key section, this is where that Kick information is gonna be. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this information in. I recommend that you continue to take your video and audio encoder settings from OBS, but if you want, you can customize this to your liking if you'd like. Other than that, that's all the information that you need here. Go ahead and select OK, and now we're just gonna start streaming. So we're gonna start streaming on YouTube, and then we're also gonna start streaming on Kick. If you've connected multiple platforms within your multiple outputs plugin here, you can select start all, or you can select one at a time. I'm gonna go ahead and just select the start to start the Kick stream. As you can see, you'll be able to push your stream to multiple platforms at the same time in good quality. But what if I told you there was one more tool that you can use, especially if you're someone that is a vertical streamer, such as a TikTok streamer? Well, the tool I'm referring to is the Atom Vertical plugin. If you're on OBS 29 or later, you can download this plugin completely for free. I also put a link in the description below for this plugin. The installation process is very straightforward with this. The only thing I didn't check off was having a folder on my start screen. I just put that off, but everything else I just flowed through. You'll need to close out of OBS and restart it again, but once you open it back up, you're gonna see all of these new vertical docks added into your OBS application. Two of those docks are my vertical scenes and my vertical sources. So within one of my vertical scenes, I'm gonna go ahead to the vertical sources dock and select the plus button, and I'm gonna go ahead and add my capture card as a source. You're gonna see that appear within the vertical dock on the right-hand side, and I'm gonna take this and just blow it on up. If you have a Facecam source, alerts, or any other overlays you want to add in here, feel free to follow those same exact steps for those sources as well. Once you have your vertical scenes and sources set up the way that you want, go over to your settings, and then you can go to the streaming tab, and this is where you're going to want to put in that TikTok or your Instagram stream URL and key. Those kind of keys aren't easily accessible to everyone, so if you have them, here's how you can use them. In the advanced section, you can go ahead and just use your main OBS settings, but if you find that those settings are just a bit too high, you can check this off and then put in your own custom settings. So that way you're not over outputting to whichever streaming platform you're trying to push to. I definitely wouldn't go with 50 kilobits per second, but I mean, for something like TikTok, you could definitely get away with something like 2,000 to 3,000. To go live using your vertical stream, select that green live icon on the left-hand side. You also have a record icon here and a backtrack icon. So if something cool happens, you can go ahead and record the last 20 seconds or so of gameplay. And now on top of this, you can go live on your main OBS and then also go live using the multiple outputs plugin. So you now have 3 different options to go live on multiple social media platforms. Once you're all finished, don't forget to press the stop streaming button on your main OBS and then stop streaming on the multiple output plugin and the vertical. If at any point you get sick and tired of seeing all these freaking docks in your OBS, all you need to do is go to your docks and then start checking off what you don't want to see anymore. It's clean again. And that's all there is to it. Now, if you're someone out there that just doesn't want to deal with all the OBS plugins and you just want a solid application that you can multi-stream from for free, check out Prism Live Studio right here. I did a whole breakdown video of how to use it from
I just spent a few weeks multi-streaming, and what I learned is most services and tools absolutely suck. Setting them up is annoying, finicky, and painful, but by the end of this video, you won't have to worry. You're going to go from having no idea how to multi-stream to understanding the two main and best ways to start multi-streaming to any platform you want, as well as how to set them up yourself and why you'd pick one or the other. But before we get into all of that, thank you so much to our sponsor, Owned. Owned, your one-stop shop as a streamer, has created an entire scene editor and integrated. But with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Before we get into the core setup, we need to understand the two different ways to multi-stream, relay versus direct, and why you'd want to choose one or the other. First, relay. This means you're streaming from OBS, for example, to a service like Restream, for example, and then that service will stream to the platforms you link to it. The pro of this is that you're just encoding and streaming one stream and letting the service handle the rest. This means no added stress on your PC or internet. Another great pro is Restream will combine your platform's chats for you and even give you a browser source to put it on screen for viewers. It looks like ass, but hey, it's better than nothing. Now, the cons though are pretty rough. For starters, services like Restream tend to lock really important features behind paywalls. They tend to be horribly unstable, constantly crashing one or multiple platforms, and when that happens, they don't have any disconnect protection, which means sometimes they start up a whole new stream. That all sounds pretty bad, but worst of all, they lock your stream's quality to the lowest common platform. For example, Twitch's max bitrate you can use is between 6,000 to 8,000, but on YouTube, I could stream as high as 20,000, 30,000. I can do whatever I want, which I actually need to do because 1080p 60 FPS actually looks kind of garbage at 6,000, especially if there is a lot of motion, which a lot of you guys play very motion heavy games. 1080p simply requires a higher bitrate than Twitch can currently provide, which is a problem if you're multi-streaming a relay to Twitch and YouTube. It will lock that YouTube stream to Twitch's standard, making YouTube look far worse. And even worse, it will actually destroy the YouTube VOD quality, essentially eliminating one of the main benefits of multi-streaming to YouTube. Now, we get around this instead by doing the second type of multi-streaming, direct. Essentially, you'll use a plugin. In today's case, it's Atium, to create several streams that go out to different platforms. The major pro here is the ability to customize the settings for each platform. But also, this means you're adding more stress to your PC and internet as you're literally streaming to multiple places. Another con is that the plugin only works with OBS because Streamlabs locked plugin support behind paywalls to force streamers to pay their money and use their terrible services, like their shitty multi-streaming tool, or the fact you have to pay them a ridiculous subscription just to change their bot's name to a custom account name. Everyone else does that for free, Streamlabs. What the fuck? With that difference explained, let's quickly cover setting up a relay like Restream, and then I'll cover Atium as well. There are time codes in the description if you need to skip ahead, of course. First things first, you'll need a Restream account, so head to restream.io and log in. You'll want to head to the homepage and click Stream via RTMP. This means essentially you're streaming from OBS to Restream rather than using their built-in studio. For the love of God, don't use their studio. I'll explain why in a second. Once you've selected that, you'll click Add Channel and start adding the platforms that you want to stream to. OBS to Twitch's recommendations, as it's the lowest quality platform. So with that out of the way, let's talk about direct multi-streaming. As I said, today we're doing that with a plugin called Atium, which adds this amazing dock to your OBS and just kind of makes multi-streaming insanely easy. No joke, when I decided to set this tool up, it was about 5-10 minutes before I was supposed to go live, and I installed it, had it all set up, and I went multi-streaming. Nobody knew a difference. Well, that's not true. Everyone knew I was using a new tool because I wasn't crashing every 3 seconds. Thanks, Restream. So you're going to go to my link in the description and download the plugin for OBS. Once it's downloaded, make sure your OBS is closed and simply run the installer that downloaded. It's incredibly easy. Once that is done installing, open OBS back up and you should have the Atium Multi-Stream dock. But if you don't, head to the docks at the top, click Atium Multi-Stream, and it will add the dock. That said, you may also have several vertical docks open, or in that dropdown, you would have noticed several vertical docks that could be added. These are for when you want to stream to TikTok or YouTube Shorts, but we're not going to be covering that till much later in the video in a very specific way, so just close all of those docks for now. Inside the Atium multi-stream dock, however, you should see something called built-in stream. This is your normal stream that is set up through OBS settings. So you'll see my base or core stream is Twitch, because if I go to my settings, click stream, you'll see I'm logged in and connected to Twitch. If you need help with setting up your base stream and all the settings, I'll have a video linked down in the description. But I'll be honest, if you're trying to multi-stream and using a direct plugin, you really should be able to set up and understand all of these settings by yourself by now. With the first stream set up, it's time to add a second stream. We're going to be setting up YouTube today, but you can set up pretty much any platform you want. So on the Atium dock, head to the cogwheel, which pops open the settings for the plugin, and then head to main canvas. This is your normal 16:9 or horizontal canvas. Click add output and select the platform you want to add. Like I said, I'll select YouTube, leave it as primary, but I do need my stream key. To find this, I can either click this link right here on screen, or I can go to my YouTube creator dashboard. I'll go to my live section by clicking create in the top right and then clicking go live, and I'll either select an upcoming stream that I've scheduled, or I'll schedule a new stream. If you don't know how to schedule a stream on YouTube or why that's important, again, I linked that video in the description down below. I'm not skipping over parts, it's just the content's already been covered. Once you have one scheduled, click it and make sure you copy your default stream key from this dropdown and paste this into the plugin where it says YouTube stream key. If you have multiple streams live or scheduled, this will offer a lot of other keys, but if you simply pick default, then when you click go live, you'll always go live to your current next scheduled stream, as far as I know. Once that is done, you can technically go live, except there are two major problems we need to solve first. Number one is that if you try to go live before your scheduled YouTube stream starts, again, YouTube won't let you appear, so make sure you're going live at the time you set. And the second problem, if you go to the main canvas area, you'll see the YouTube output, click advanced settings, and it will say main encoder. This means right now that YouTube stream is just copying the base stream. So in this case, it's the Twitch stream. Now this is where it gets a little confusing. So Jimmy, please pay attention. If you leave this as main encoder, you get the benefits of only having to encode one stream. This means less stress on your PC, but you still have to send the data to multiple platforms. So you'll still be sending 6000 bitrate to Twitch and 6000 bitrate to YouTube. AKA, you need to be able to handle 12,000 bitrate uploading consistently and stability and stable in a stable way. This also means you're not getting the benefit of the plugin by being able to customize the settings for each platform. And it means you need to go live on the base stream before you can go live on the second stream, because again, the second stream is just copying the first. So if you click this drop down and select a different encoder, for example, I use NVENC, which is a special chip on my GPU, suddenly all the streaming settings can be changed. So again, YouTube has no real cap, so I can set this to 15,000 bitrate, change the rest of it as I see fit, but stop right there before you get carried away. Remember, by changing all of this, you are now asking OBS to encode a second stream, aka you're now adding more stress to your hardware. And if you increase the bitrate like I did, now my internet needs to be able to handle 6,000 to Twitch and 15,000 to YouTube. So 21,000 in total. If you're not sure what your upload speed is, then check out the speedtest.net linked in the description. That will give you a good idea. You can, of course, add as many streams or platforms as your setup can handle. And once you've changed your settings or left them as main encoder, depending on your setup, and you're ready to go live, you'll click this little button here on the main stream and then work your way down the list, clicking any other platforms you want to stream to. While streaming, I really recommend you keep your stats panel open by going to OBS, View, Stats, and this will let you see any skipped, dropped, or lagged frames. You'll know your PC or internet is struggling if there is a large percentage of either of these. If you want to know the difference between these three types of frame issues and how to fix them, again, I'll have a video on that in the description. Now, there are a lot of other cool aspects of this plugin, such as sending different audio tracks to different platforms, sending different scenes to different platforms, or using Atium to stream vertically on TikTok or Shorts. But for me, I don't use any of that, because I think it just adds complications that don't make my streams content better. I like my stream setup to be really simple and minimal so I can focus on just making something entertaining. Plus, when it comes to multi-streaming, TikTok and vertical want very different content to horizontal platforms. If I streamed on TikTok as if I was a Twitch streamer, I'd not get a single viewer. So I wouldn't even bother multi-streaming to those platforms. I'd just go live to them and give them the energy they deserve. That said, if you do want to learn about any of that, I'll link a mate of mine named Nutty who has an amazing in-depth video on it down below. And if you want to learn how multi-streaming can actually pretty much destroy your growth as a creator, well, especially on YouTube and TikTok, click here. If the video is not out yet, it might be next.
नमस्कार, वेलकम टू स्टडी IQ। मैं हूं प्रशांत धवन। नाउ क्या पाकिस्तानी आर्मी बांग्लादेश में जा रही है? रिसेंटली इस टॉपिक से रिलेटेड बहुत सारे आर्टिकल्स पब्लिश हुए कि पाकिस्तान आर्मी प्लान कर रही है कि ये बांग्लादेश में वापस जाएंगे पहली बार सिंस 1971 से पहले। जैसे आप लोग जानते हैं, पाकिस्तान बांग्लादेश एक कंट्री हुआ करते थे। बांग्लादेश को ईस्ट पाकिस्तान कहा जाता था। उसके बाद इंडिया पाकिस्तान की वॉर हुई, तो 1971 इंडिया पाकिस्तान वॉर। उसके रिजल्ट में पाकिस्तान को ईस्ट पाकिस्तान खो देना पड़ा और ये एक नया कंट्री बना जिसको हम आज के समय बांग्लादेश कहते हैं ना। बांग्लादेश की जो अब नई सरकार है अंडर मोहम्मद यूनुस, ये बहुत ज़्यादा फ्रेंडली है टुवर्ड्स पाकिस्तान। और उसके बाद अचानक से हमने ये देखा है कि इंडिया में सबसे बड़ा कंसर्न ये सामने आ गया कि पाकिस्तानी मिलिट्री क्या वापस बांग्लादेश जाएगी? 50 साल से भी ऊपर हो चुके हैं। एक लंबे टाइम के बाद क्या पॉसिबिलिटी है कि पाकिस्तानी आर्मी मिलिट्री ट्रेनिंग के लिए या फिर किसी युद्ध अभ्यास के लिए ये जाए बांग्लादेश में? क्या ये दृश्य भी देखना पड़ेगा? इससे रिलेटेड देखिए, भारत में बहुत सारे लोगों ने आर्टिकल पब्लिश किए, वीडियोस बना दी गई, मगर आप लोग बहुत बड़ी संख्या में मेरी वीडियोस इसलिए देखते हैं क्योंकि मैं आपको प्रॉपर सोर्स के साथ बताता हूं कि क्या हो रहा है। लिटरली मैं आपको आर्टिकल्स दिखाता हूं और बताता हूं कि देखिए, जो भी मैं आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन दे रहा हूं ये कहां से आई है। नाउ इस टॉपिक से रिलेटेड आपको एक बात जाननी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि बांग्लादेश की आर्मी ने ये सारी रिपोर्ट्स को रिजेक्ट कर दिया है और ये कहा है कि पाकिस्तान की मिलिट्री हमारे देश में नहीं आ रही। इधर आप देख पाओगे, ये बांग्लादेश का न्यूज आउटलेट है द बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड। उसके अलावा वेरियस और इनके न्यूज आउटलेट्स है द फाइनेंशियल एक्सप्रेस एटसेट्रा, इवन BD न्यूज करके बहुत सारे आपको आर्टिकल मिल जाएंगे। हर जगह ये बात लिखी गई है कि बांग्लादेश आर्मी ने रिजेक्ट कर दी है, ट्रैश कर दी है इंडिया की रिपोर्ट। इंडिया के आनंदा बाजार, ये एक न्यूज आउटलेट है इंडिया में, बंगाली में ये लोग पब्लिश करते हैं न्यूज। यहीं से सबसे पहले खबर फैली थी कि पाकिस्तान की आर्मी बांग्लादेश में आएगी, कुछ इनकी ट्रेनिंग होगी, कुछ युद्ध अभ्यास होगा। तो बांग्लादेशी आर्मी ने ये सारी बातें रिजेक्ट कर दी है। और यहां पे आप देख पाओगे बांग्लादेश में भी एक ISPR है, पब्लिक रिलेशंस का इनका एक अलग से डिपार्टमेंट है जो मीडिया से बात करता है। इन्होंने यहां पर यह बात कही है कि सबसे पहले इंडिया के न्यूज़पेपर ने जो ये रिपोर्ट छापी कि पाकिस्तान की मिलिट्री बांग्लादेश में आएगी, इनको सबसे पहले बांग्लादेश की आर्मी से पूछना चाहिए था कि क्या जेन्युइनली ये होगा या नहीं होगा। इन लोगों ने ऐसा किया नहीं, खुद ये रिपोर्ट छाप दी। और आगे ये लोग ऐड करते हैं कि बांग्लादेश के फ्रेंडली रिलेशंस है कई कंट्रीज के साथ, मगर देयर इज नो प्लान फॉर एनी ट्रेनिंग और डेलीगेशन ऑफ द पाकिस्तानी आर्मी टू कम टू एनी कंटोनमेंट इन बांग्लादेश फॉर ट्रेनिंग। ये जो क्लेम है बेसलेस है और ये रियलिटी से मेल नहीं खाता। अब आगे एक और सवाल ये आया, मगर फिर ऐसी रिपोर्ट्स क्यों आई थी इससे पहले कि आप लोग पाकिस्तान से वेपन परचेज कर रहे हैं? वो तो हुआ था ना, उसको तो आप रिजेक्ट नहीं कर सकते। उसके जवाब में ये लोग कहते हैं कि देखिए, हम लोग वेपन अपनी रिक्वायरमेंट के हिसाब से कई कंट्री से परचेज करते हैं। उस बात को इन्होंने रफा दफा कर दिया। बट मेन बात बांग्लादेश की आर्मी ने यहां पर यह कही है कि कोई भी इस वक्त प्लान नहीं है पाकिस्तानी आर्मी या फिर इनके डेलीगेशन का भी आने का इन बांग्लादेश। नाउ ये जो लाइन है बार बार बांग्लादेश ने क्यों दोहराई है, बांग्लादेश इतनी जल्दी से ये सब रिपोर्ट्स को रिजेक्ट क्यों कर रहा है कि फरवरी 2025 में पाकिस्तान की आर्मी आएगी बांग्लादेश में? इसके देखिए कई रीजन है। एक बार को आप सोच सकते हैं, जिस तरीके से बांग्लादेश लिटरली इंडिया के अगेंस्ट हॉस्टाइल एक एटीट्यूड दिखा रहा है, आप एज्यूम कर सकते हैं एक बार कि इंडियन मीडिया ने जब ये रिपोर्ट फैलाई थी तो बांग्लादेश चुप रहता, बांग्लादेश कहता कि ठीक है, इनको मानने दो कि पाकिस्तान की आर्मी आ रही है। इन लोगों ने ये सारी रिपोर्ट रिजेक्ट क्यों करी है? इसके पीछे देखिए बहुत ही बड़ा रीजन है भूख। जी हां, आपने सही सुना, चावल की भूख। बांग्लादेश का जो भी राइस का इनके पास स्टोरेज था, जो इनको राइस बांटने थे अपने देश में, इसका 1.1 मिलियन तो हाल ही में जो इनके बाढ़ आई इनके देश में, उसमें डिस्ट्रॉय हो गया। उसके अलावा बांग्लादेश बहुत सारे चावल म्यांमार से परचेज करता था। म्यांमार बांग्लादेश बॉर्डर पे आपको पता है प्रॉब्लम आ गई है, अराकान आर्मी ने बॉर्डर को ब्लॉक कर दिया है। तो बांग्लादेश में आज के समय फूड की बहुत ज़्यादा शॉर्टेज आ चुकी है और ये फूड क्राइसिस की वजह से पॉसिबिलिटी है कि बहुत लोग बांग्लादेश में में गरीब लोगों की मैं बात कर रहा हूं बुरी तरीके से सफर करे। ऐसे टाइम में एक कंट्री जो जनरली बांग्लादेश को बचा सकता है वो भारत है। आपने एक बात नोट करी होगी, मैंने कुछ टाइम पहले वीडियो बनाई थी कि बांग्लादेश में जो मोहम्मद अनस के करीबी एक व्यक्ति है उसने सोशल मीडिया पे पोस्ट कर दिया मैप इंडिया को तोड़ेंगे और वेस्ट बंगाल का हिस्सा कब्जा लेंगे वगैरह, और बहुत ही जल्द डर के मारे उस आदमी ने वो पोस्ट डिलीट कर दी। मैं सरप्राइज नहीं होऊंगा अगर मोहम्मद अनस या बिल्कुल जो बांग्लादेश में टॉप क्लास के लोग हैं उन्होंने उसको कहा हो कि अभी के लिए ऐसी पोस्ट मत कर दो, अभी के लिए थोड़ा सा बैक ट्रैक कर लो इस मामले में, क्योंकि इंडिया की आवश्यकता है। इंडिया से 2 लाख टन चावल ये भेजा जा रहा है बांग्लादेश को। बांग्लादेश की जनता को लिटरली इंडिया हंगर से बचाएगा। अगर इंडिया ऐसे टाइम में चावल का एक्सपोर्ट रोक दे कुछ भी कहकर के, देखिए हमें भी आशंका है कि कल को चावल हमारे यहाँ कम हो जाए, चावल के दाम बढ़ जाए, तो हम इस वक्त नहीं कर सकते आपकी हेल्प। बांग्लादेश में कई लोग हो सकता है भूखे मारे मर जाए, तो इंडिया बहुत ज्यादा हेल्प कर रहा है बांग्लादेश की। तो इसलिए इनकी जो आर्मी है ये बिल्कुल सामने आई है और ये कहा है कि जो भी मीडिया रिपोर्ट्स है कि पाकिस्तान आर्मी आने वाली है बांग्लादेश में, ये बिल्कुल फॉल्स है। अभी के लिए इनका कोई ऐसा प्लान नहीं है। मैं सरप्राइज नहीं होगा एक बार इनके जो राइस के स्टॉक्स है रिफिल हो जाए और इनके यहाँ जो फूड क्राइसिस है ये गायब हो जाए, फिर उसके बाद कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है। मोहम्मद अनस के सपोर्टर्स इंडिया के टेढ़े सीधे नक्शे ये बनाना स्टार्ट कर दे, ये पाकिस्तान को इनवाइट करना स्टार्ट कर दे, पहले डेलीगेशन को इनवाइट करेंगे, फिर कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, कोई नई मिलिट्री एक्सरसाइज बना ले, उसमें कहे कि हाँ पाकिस्तान के सोल्जर भी आएंगे। तो आप कह लीजिए टेम्पररी बांग्लादेश ने थोड़ा सा एक हृदय परिवर्तन दिखाने की कोशिश करी है। बट अगेन मैं यहाँ पर ये नहीं कहूंगा कि इंडिया बांग्लादेश के रिलेशन अच्छे हो रहे हैं। फॉर द टाइम बिंग एटलीस्ट क्लैरिटी तो मिल चुकी है कि नहीं, अभी के लिए तो पाकिस्तान आर्मी बांग्लादेश नहीं जा रही। और अगर कल को ऐसा कुछ जेन्युइनली प्लान बनेगा, क्योंकि मैं मिलिट्री एक्सरसाइज को प्रॉपर्ली मॉनिटर करता हूं, फॉलो करता हूं, ना सिर्फ पाकिस्तान की दुनिया भर की, तो ऑब्वियसली उस टाइम मैं आपके लिए डेडिकेटेड वीडियो लेके आऊंगा। ठीक है, बाकी इस टॉपिक से रिलेटेड देखिए कई लोगों ने मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन भी फैलाई है, तो जस्ट बी केयरफुल।
In the grim darkness of the far future, where gods cosplay as humans, superhuman dudes with daddy issues destroy empires,